Hi there. For the past several years, I'd enjoyed using a huge enameled cast iron Dutch oven from Le Creuset, but lately the enamel coating on the inside of that pot had worn down and it was chipping. And because of this, I wasn't able to safely use that pot. Because of this, I decided to cash in on some Bitcoin investments and find a reasonable replacement for that enameled pot. And the result is this: an enameled cast iron cocotte from Staub, the other big manufacturer of French enameled cast iron. This new enameled Dutch oven is very appealing, and I definitely plan on using it many times in my kitchen. Here's a closer look at this big enameled pot so we can see what it's like. This is a monster of an enameled cast iron pot made in France rather than China. I especially like the shape of the lid since it's flat rather than curved. What's more, it's exactly the same size as the Le Creuset pot, and the lid fits perfectly on the older pot. It's over 13 inches across and it weighs a massive 24 pounds, so there won't be any problem with hot spots and colder spots when it's fully heated. The inside surface is unlike any other enameled pot I've seen, as it has a rougher surface like fine sandpaper. Every Staub pot I've seen has this texture inside, but the inside color is black rather than white, and this means it won't stain the way a white enameled pot does. And now it's time to play with this new toy and break it in with something that works best in an enameled cast iron pot. So, we're making a big batch of my family's recipe for Italian pasta sauce with lots of tomatoes, sausage, and meatballs. The secret ingredient in Italian pasta sauce really isn't a secret. It's Italian sausage. While you can just buy your own sausage at the store, it's definitely worth the effort to make your own homemade sausage. It's really nothing more than mixing the right spices with ground pork, and you won't believe how wonderful the scent of this sausage is. It's so much better than store-bought sausage, but you won't realize it until you try it yourself. Not only that, it's also a lot less expensive than store-bought sausage, especially these days when food prices are sky high. All we do is mix in red wine vinegar with the ground pork, along with salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and some smoked paprika, and then we mix in the ground spices. Then we just knead it all together into genuine homemade sausage. You can stuff the sausage into casings if you want, but it's really easy to just roll the sausage into meatballs. Then we keep it in the refrigerator while we prepare the more traditional meatballs. Once again, freshly made meatballs are much better than frozen meatballs from the store, though there's really nothing wrong with using store-bought meatballs. These are simply better, and they're a cinch to prepare if you don't mind getting your hands dirty. It's nothing more than ground beef, breadcrumbs, 2 eggs, and grated Romano cheese, along with the usual salt, pepper, and garlic powder. We knead it all together, and then we roll out the meatballs to add to our sauce. And finally, we slice up a pound of pork ribs into large pieces. And the hard part is done, and now it's time to christen our Staub enameled Dutch oven. We start off by searing the meatballs and the sausage to add even more flavor. We're using 2 kinds of meatballs here, and they'll blend together into the sauce to give it a taste you won't believe. To this, we add in 4 cans of crushed tomatoes. This is why I like using a huge pot like this. There's more than enough room to make a big batch of sauce like this without having to worry about the pot overflowing. And because it's cast iron, the sauce will get hot and stay hot. Now we mix in the pork pieces. To this, we add our traditional salt and pepper, a little sugar to reduce the acidity of the tomatoes, some garlic powder, and of course oregano, because you can't have an Italian sauce without oregano. And that's it. Now we cover the pot with a heavy cast iron lid, set the temperature to medium-low, and simmer the sauce for 2 hours. This lid certainly helped to keep all of the moisture in. Now we gotta simmer it and reduce. I gotta get a bigger splatter screen. Now, fortunately, it's deep enough that there shouldn't be too much splatter. And the sauce is ready. And now for the next step. Something to go with the sauce. And that means pasta. I considered using the Staub pot to make a huge pot of pasta, but I really didn't need all that. So we took out a vintage aluminum Dutch oven to make the pasta, because an aluminum pot is the best water boiler around. When the pasta is al dente and ready, we turn on the oven and drain the pasta, because this is going to be a baked pasta. Now we mix in lots of sauce and lots of ricotta cheese.
Anything else?
That's meat, but I like it. You know, I like the taste of everything. The pasta,
Yeah.
the sauce.
Well, we'll have it right here next to it too. So if you don't get a lot of meat in your serving, just
Let's add more.
I wouldn't. I'd make sure not to get near the sides either.
Right.
You're smart enough with stuff, even if it's in the oven. And we could always mix a little bit of mozzarella in with it. Okay.
And to this we add mozzarella cheese, because there's no such thing as too much cheese.
Once we're done close to baking it, there you go, it's good. Once you finish baking
And we bake it in the oven, uncovered, for 10 to 15 minutes. And we're still not done, because now it's time to add more cheese. So in other words, we cheese it.
Yes.
My bad, I just suggested there's such a thing as enough cheese.
That should be good. Yeah, in that way.
Then we bake it for just a few more minutes, and our baked pasta is done. With our pasta sauce mixed in and dripping with cheese, this is a homemade pasta dish that anyone will enjoy. And this is done courtesy of a vintage aluminum pot and our Staub enameled cast iron cocotte. I know this is outside the price range for a lot of people, but there's still the possibility you could find something like this in your treasure hunt for vintage cast iron. I actually discovered that Le Creuset pot at a local flea market, and I only paid $6 for it. It was worn down from the beginning, and it never had a lid, and it still lasted 9 years, and I'm hoping this brand new replacement lasts even longer. But regardless, the pasta sauce turned out great, and so did the baked macaroni. I'm really glad to be able to use a huge enameled cast iron pot once again, and I'll be having a lot of fun making things with this new Staub Dutch oven. And by the way, washing the pot after making all that sauce was no problem at all either. Best of all, the black interior kept the pot from staining, so this still looks brand new, and hopefully it will look this way for a long time to come. So I can definitely say it was worth the investment, at least if you're a cast iron junkie the way I am. And for some of you, who knows, maybe this might end up on someone's Christmas list. If that's the case, well, blame me, because I'm glad to own this, and I hope you've enjoyed watching this big pot in action. Thank you for your time today.